well after an amazing 3-1 victory over Barrow away from home on the weekend, which is arguably a very, very tough place to get any sort of result. The Dons are now, their focus will shift towards Tuesday night's massive game as a game in hand against Accrington Stanley in League Two, a chance to push us right into the playoffs, which is amazing. We need a big, big victory on Tuesday night. The Dons will be looking to improve, well, even better improve their home form, which we have seen in the start of the season after a disappointing loss to Grimsby Town last Saturday. The Dons will be looking to bounce back and continue the amazing home form and get a win into the playoffs. So let's talk about AFC Wimbledon versus Accrington Stanley. Let's preview the game. There's quite a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get through it. Wimbledon, the boys should be coming into this game in high amounts of confidence due to the fact that we have just had an amazing win away at Barrow. As I said in the intro, it's a tough, tough place to go to. It's a tough ask to go and get any sort of points, and I think the way that we won was very, very impressive. We had Joe Pigott, which came in as Omar Bugle and Miles Hippolyte is out on international duty, scored a goal in the first 2 minutes. Yes, it wasn't the best of goal ever, but a striker has to score those type of opportunities, and he did. And the fact that he's out of form, only scored one goal before, is very, very impressive. Yes, the mistake was there for Owen Goodman's mistake for Barrow's first goal, or their only goal of the whole game. But we did win the game, so that hasn't really been talked about. But let's hope that mistake will never happen again. Matthew Stevens then continued his amazing form since the start of the season. Still the top goal scorer of the league. I believe he's at 10 or 11 in all competitions, which is very impressive start when we've only had around 2-3 months of the season. As I said, Barrow's a really tough place to go to, and the fact that they have only lost one game at home in the season so far is also a very impressive stat. And the fact that our away form hasn't been the best so far, the boys should be confident going into any sort of away game, which we have in the next upcoming days. Next upcoming weeks and months. It was obviously a little bit of a change side against Barrow with Harbottle coming in, Ball advancing into midfield, and Pigott going up front due to Omar and Hippolyte being on international duty. And I think they all did absolutely amazing. Those boys that have come in or switched positions should be confident on home soil on Tuesday. Pigott will be looking to get his first home goal of the season after scoring his second against Barrow. A big factor to this game is that Joe Lewis will miss the game against Accrington Stanley due to him picking up, I believe it's 5 yellow cards you need to miss the game, so picking up his 5th yellow card against Barrow for shouting something at the referee after he made a decision. A very stupid yellow, a yellow which should have never happened. You're 3-1 up. What's the point of arguing? And then you go and miss a massive, massive game. What could that mean to the defence? I mean, Ball did advance into midfield. Could we see Ball go back into the defence? He did well there, but then who do you put in midfield? Not sure if Jake Greaves will be back yet. Ever since he came back against Salford, got injured again, we haven't really had a proper good update about him. Or we could see Ogundare come into the defence and Ball advance and stay in his position in midfield. I would say that this is probably one of the biggest games that Wimbledon do have this season. You could argue the fact, but just due to the fact that we are the only game taking place in the league, it's our first game in hand. We have Tranmere next week and then Crewe at home sometime in February next year. It's a massive chance to get into the playoffs. We have a really good goal difference of +10. If we just win at all, any sort of win on Tuesday, we will push up into 7th place with still 2 games in hand. If we win those 2, if we win this in Tranmere next week, have a good game on Saturday, then I don't see why not. We can go into the top 3. It would be absolutely amazing if we can do that. But Wimbledon are looking amazing so far. Had a great win against Barrow. Yes, we lost against Grimsby last week. Disappointing. Mistakes were made. Move on from it and go and win against Barrow. But let's talk about Accrington on Tuesday. They are a well organised and tough to break down side. They do sit 18th in the league table at the moment. You might look at the league table and think They're rubbish. Wimbledon should absolutely whitewash them, should demolish them. Don't really think that's going to happen. Yes, the home form, sorry, has been pretty impressive. But Wimbledon have always had an awful record against Accrington ever since we beat them in the playoff semi-finals back in 2016 when we got promoted to League One for the first time. So that will be interesting. I believe in the last 10 games ever since we beat them in the playoffs, we have only won once, which was a 2-0 win. I believe it was Luke McCormick, Ayuba Sow, which scored away from home in a very wet and windy conditions. And that win saw us not win for 30 games after in League One, which was a very, very impressive stat. But as I said, Accrington, tough team to break down. They do sit 18th in the league table. In League Two, an interesting factor is that they've scored quite a few goals in the league. 20 goals so far, quite a few goals in cup competitions as well, but also conceded a high amount of 24. So it does seem like they do score many goals and are confident going forward, but do leak goals, and that's perfect what we want to see. We've got a strong defence, even with Joe Lewis out on Tuesday night. Whoever gets in there, Ogundir, James Ball, should do well on Tuesday. Let's hope so. I'm sure they're all raring to start. I'm not sure who we would have in midfield if James Ball does push back, but that's Johnny Jackson's decision to decide. But yes, you might look at the league table, 18th place. They're not good. They're rubbish. Wimbledon should demolish them, as I said. Don't see it happening. They have had a very good run in. Their recent form has been very impressive, and it could come to worry Johnny Jackson and Wimbledon overall. In the last 5 games, Accrington drew 0-0 with Walsall, which is arguably a pretty good result when you look at where Walsall are in the table. A 2-1 win over Everton Academy in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. They beat Russell Olympic 2-0 in the FA Cup. Then probably the most interesting result is that they had a very impressive 3-0 win over Chesterfield away from home, which Chesterfield are a well-organised side. They have players which could easily play in the league above. They have Paddy Madden, Will Grigg, who are experienced, and the fact they've gone out and beat them pretty comfortably is very, very worrying. But Wimbledon's home form is pretty good, so we will see what happens. Then recently, they had a 2-2 draw with Swindon Town on Saturday. A mixed bag of results. When you look at that 3-0 win over Chesterfield, that is a pretty impressive result to have in your last 5 games. So realistically, as we said, their last win in the league was Chesterfield, was an away win. They should be confident coming into this game. They do have a good squad. They have a mixture of experience. They have younger players coming through. And overall, it's just a very tough defence to break down. Their top goal scorer, Dara Costello, on 4 goals. Again, it's a side which they haven't really had one prolific goal scorer. So it's going to be interesting to see who may even score the goals on Tuesday night. But let's hope they don't. What do I think will happen in the game to close off the thoughts on this video? Wimbledon need to win. I am confident Wimbledon should win. Yes, Accrington do come in with good form, but we have beaten good teams this season. If every player who is playing is on it, having 100%, playing 100% effort, winning tackles, driving forward, being confident, taking shots on goal, I don't see why not Wimbledon can go and maybe not easily win this game on Tuesday, but get a win, get up the league table. We're at home. We have 2 home games in hand, and both of them need to be won. Yes, one of them is all the way in February, but if we can get this one, it will boost our confidence. We get inside the playoffs where we well and truly deserve to be. So let's see what happens on Tuesday. I think Wimbledon will win, possibly a 2-1, 3-1. I do see us conceding, but let's see what happens on Tuesday night. See you all there. Let's hope for a positive result and Wimbledon can get into the playoffs. Come on, you dons.